Being a private investigator means two things. You can be sure you'll run into trouble, and you can never be sure you'll get out of it. Well, there's not much you can do about it, I guess, except, like Julie always says...
Walk softly, Peter Troy.
And now Peter Troy investigates The Blonde with the Delicate Air.
This girl, Julie, I met a moment ago, she keeps the bill collectors at bay and generally runs the place I loosely call my office. You'll meet her again in a little while. But right now, I want you to meet the lush lovely this case is all about. Her name is Caroline Varley, but most people call her
Carol.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, Lawrence. I was a million miles away.
So I noticed. Cigarette?
No, no thanks, darling.
Beautiful girl. Soft lights. All we need now is the sweet music.
I don't need a thing.
Delicate. That's the operative word, Carol. Blonde with a delicate air. That's how I'll always think of you.
No, that's nice.
Oh, dear.
Expecting anyone?
No, and as far as I'm concerned, whoever it is can go jump in the lake.
Better answer the door and get rid of them, darling.
Yes, I guess so.
And hurry back. Huh?
Yes, what do you want? Craig.
Hello, Webster.
Now, look, I can explain.
Shut up. Get back inside.
Give me that.
You didn't have to do that.
I didn't mean to. He jumped me.
Easy.
No. No, he's still breathing. Where's the package?
In the drawer of that desk. He put it there as soon as we came in.
Good.
Well, what happens now?
We have someone deliver the package for us, that's all.
Anyone in mind?
Yes? Troy. Peter Troy.
Oh, that name sounds familiar.
A private investigator, Canadian. Tough. Very tough. And a ladies' man.
Oh, yes, of course, I remember now.
Opened up here a couple of years ago. Done very well, by all accounts.
You think he'll do a job like this?
Sure. The way we sell it, he'll be answering the appeal of a lady in distress.
Meaning me?
Mm-hmm.
And afterwards?
Afterwards, I'm afraid Mr. Peter Troy will just have to die.
Pity.
Necessary.
Well, into each life some death must fall.
It had been one of those bad months. Seems no one in London needed the services of a private investigator. Money was like chorus girls in Alcatraz. There wasn't any. So to rent collectors and sundry tradesmen, I was but definitely out. But to delicate, dewy-eyed, husky-voiced blondes like Carol Varley, I was but definitely in.
So, to put it briefly, I need protection, Mr. Troy.
Uh-huh. I'll go along with that, Miss Varley. Springtime, a young man's fancy.
This young man is going to try to kill me.
Uh-huh. Well, that's no way to win friends and influence people, is it? Who's the guy?
An irate suitor, Mr. Troy. He wants to marry me. I declined the invitation, and now he's threatened to kill me.
And?
The job pays £100 for approximately 2 hours' work.
That buys you a grade A bundle of protection, Miss Farley. Is this character got a name?
Laurie Webster. He's a very persistent man. He's been pestering me for months. He just won't take no for an answer.
It happens.
Just not my type, you know? Anyway, he's coming round to my place tonight to propose again.
And if you say no?
He said that if he can't have me, no one else will.
It sounds corny, but you want me to be there, huh?
I thought you might be able to disillusion him just a little. If you know what I mean.
I'm way ahead of you.
My address is 15 Carlisle Road, South Kensington. 8:30 this evening?
On the nose.
Thank you. Peter.
Thank you, ma'am.
Carol.
That's nice.
I'll get some bourbon in.
Bourbon?
Well, don't all private detectives drink straight bourbon?
You've been reading too many pulp magazines. I'm the exception. Scotch.
Mm-hmm. I'll remember that.
The exception or the scotch?
Both. 8:30? I'll see you then.
Hi. 8:30 on the nose.
I like punctuality in a man. Come in.
Thanks.
Do you get many of these sort of assignments, Mr. Troy?
Oh, well, I was going to talk to you about that. 100 pounds. That's a lot of money just to dissuade a guy from carrying a gal off to the altar.
Why don't I go to the police?
Uh-huh.
I value my privacy, Mr. Troy. Don't you? Yeah. Scotch?
Thanks. 100 pounds worth of privacy? Has he phoned you or anything yet?
Oh, he won't phone. He'll just arrive. In the meantime, let's relax, hmm? Do you like music?
Me and Beethoven were just like that.
You can't dance to Beethoven.
Well, that's the point.
You dance very well.
Thanks. It's a nice place you have here.
It's home.
No place like it.
Hold it right there, Mr. Troy.
Company, huh?
Don't turn around and don't move, Mr. Troy.
Nasty way to break in on a dance, mister.
Isn't it, though?
Oh, poor Mr. Troy. He danced so nicely.
All right, Carol. Help me set the scene. We haven't much time.
Oh, brother, my aching head.
Troy, you must have a head like a cannonball.
Oh, that's all I need. The charming and benign features of Detective Inspector Mellenby of New Scotland Yard bending over me. Ooh, brother. What are you doing here, anyway?
Investigating?
Yeah, well, I want to report a case of assault and battery. I was just a... Hey, where's the cute little blonde bombshell?
Which cute little blonde bombshell?
The gal who owns this apartment.
That smack on the head must have addled your brains, Troy. This apartment belongs to a man. Or at least it did. Mr. Laurie Webster.
What do you mean, did?
The aforementioned gent is, I regret to say, very dead. Shot at close range. That's what I'm investigating.
Now, wait a minute. Where did all this happen? You got a suspect or anything? Because if you haven't, I might
The
just be
answer
able
to
to...
your first question is right here in this apartment. In fact, right here in this room. If you move your head a fraction, you'll see the late Mr. Webster stretched out on the floor just a couple of feet away from you.
Hey, well, this just doesn't make sense.
As for your second question, yes, I do have a suspect. A private investigator called Peter Troy.
Oh, very funny. But I'm not in the mood for jokes.
Want to tell me about it?
Tell you about it? What would I want to kill Webster for? I've never even seen the guy.
Gun's on the floor beside you. A Smith & Wesson .32. And I've no doubt your fingerprints are splattered all over the butt.
Now, you know I don't use a Smith & Wesson. I got a license to carry a Browning automatic.
A license which I regret to say must be withdrawn.
Now, look, there's a frame, and you know it, Inspector. They set me up. Hey, how did you know about all this, anyway?
A phone call, Mr. Troy. The caller said there was some trouble here in Carlow Road.
Yeah, with me right in the middle, huh? Well, it's nothing to the trouble is going to be, just as soon as
Your
can get...
secretary, Julie's outside. Have Miss Summers come in, Constable.
Roger.
Miss Summers, please.
Pete, they made me tell them about that girl.
I get it all now. Julie told you about the blonde that came to see me this afternoon, the girl who wanted a bodyguard to protect her from an over-anxious suitor, and you think
I think you took your duties too seriously. You didn't have to shoot him, you know.
I didn't shoot anybody.
Oh, maybe the Smith & Wesson belongs to him, eh? He pulled it on you, there was a struggle. You got possession of the gun, pulled the trigger.
Now, look, you know me. I'm the sort of guy that goes around giving people lead poisoning. I could take that weasel lying over there, my hands tied behind my back.
That weasel gave you a fair-sized clout on the noggin, laddie.
Julie, You better get hold of Randell. Looks as though I'm going to need a lawyer.
You're already legally represented, Mr. Troy.
Huh?
All right, you can come in now.
Thank you.
Who are you?
Oh, my name's Regan, of Regan and Forsyth Solicitors. My card. I shall be happy to look after your case, and for the moment I strongly advise you not to answer any more questions.
Who's sent for him?
Yeah, I heard about the disturbance and thought you might need help. Furthermore, I think I can furnish the police with a witness. A witness whose testimony will clear you completely, Mr. Troy.
Well, now, that's more like it.
Where are you going to get this witness from, Mr. Regan?
Now, Inspector, you should know better than that. The defense cannot give away its sources of information at this particular juncture. Now, I should like a word in private with my client, please. This way, Mr. Troy.
Just don't try and leave this flat, either of you.
Well, now, Mr. Regan, I think it's all very charming, but
You're
we've
in
got...
trouble, Mr. Troy. Bad trouble. In fact, it would seem that you could wind up with a rope around your neck.
Yeah, but I thought you said something about a witness.
Yeah, I did. But I omitted to say in front of the inspector that my particular witness, if she gave her testimony, would most certainly take you straight to jail. You see, Miss Carol Varley was here when you shot down Laurie Webster.
Well, I know that she was... Ah. You mean she's part of the frame?
A rather, luscious frame, don't you think, to coin a phrase? Yes, I'm afraid you're in trouble, Mr. Troy. Real trouble.
Well, this was certainly cute. This was really cute. This was the tender trap. The more you struggle, the deeper you get into it. But this guy Regan, now here was an angle.
Yes, a rather delicate predicament, isn't it? Of course, I'd like to help you, Mr. Troy.
The lady sent you?
As a matter of fact, yes.
How come?
She has a proposition.
She had one before. Look where it got me.
This could be an answer to your problem. You see, I can tie up the police legally and demand your formal bail. Without Miss Varley's testimony, they have very little real evidence.
You ever watched Inspector Mellenby at work? He makes Dick Tracy look like an amateur.
Nevertheless, I can get you out of here.
And?
And naturally, we shall want a small favor in return.
How small?
From here, you are to go home and you are to make no phone calls. Tomorrow morning, you go to your office as usual, and you pay particular attention to the parcel mail when it arrives. There'll be a package for you. It'll be double wrapped.
Well, keep talking.
Undo the outer wrapping, and you will see a letter addressed to you. In it, there will be some instructions. You follow them, but you do not, I repeat, you do not open the inner package. It's been specially sealed, and we shall know immediately if it's been tampered with.
You're an untrusting lad, aren't you?
Mr. Troy, all you have to do is deliver that package. It's not a very difficult job. In return for doing that, I offer you your freedom.
I've got another suggestion, Mr. Regan.
Oh?
Why don't I just bop you one and make a quick exit?
I may not have seen Mellenby at work, but you have. How far do you think you'd get?
Oh, about a block and a half.
You see, my way, you've got nothing to lose, Mr. Troy.
Okay, so I go along with it. But just tell me one thing.
If I can.
Who really did kill that fellow Webster?
But you did, Mr. Troy. Ask Inspector Mellenby. He's positive you did.
Troy didn't kill that man. Oh, I know I've cursed that wretched Canadian troublemaker in my time, but I will say one thing in his favor. He's no killer.
But the evidence, sir.
What evidence? Look, a man lies dead on the floor with a bullet in him. The police surgeon maintains that he's been dead for 24 hours. Troy didn't even know a man called Webster existed 24 hours ago.
Well, I still don't think it was wise to let Troy go, Inspector.
Regan knew we couldn't hold him. We had to let him go. Incidentally, Troy's being shadowed.
Best team in the yard looking after him, sir.
Good. Troy's no fool, and I think he's purposely sticking his neck out.
You mean he may be setting himself up as a bait, sir?
Yes, the fool. When will he learn to stop poking his nose into police matters?
Well, this time he really didn't have any options, sir, did he?
I wonder what's behind all this. Anything from ballistics yet?
They're still working on the serial number. It's been burnt off with acid. They're putting it through photo analysis, but it takes time, unfortunately.
Yes. Anything on the deceased yet?
Well, we know one thing. He has a criminal record. Spent a couple of years in Dartmoor. Worked an old confidence game. But that was 5 years ago. Not a thing since then.
Why was he killed? We'll get the answer to that and... Oh, to the devil with Troy. Why didn't he stay in Montreal?
What's the package, Pete?
Present from Santa Claus for being a good boy all year.
Pete, I'm sorry about blabbing to the police. I had no idea.
That's okay, honey.
Well, I just wanted to help.
That's nice.
How is it you get yourself into so much trouble, Pete?
Trouble and me got married a long time ago, baby.
Will they arrest you again?
No.
How can you be so sure?
Because Mellenby knows I didn't kill Webster.
Oh, but
He was looking for a patsy, too. You got your notebook handy?
Yes.
Well, take this down. Troy, deliver the enclosed package to a Mr. Giles Nolan, Honeywick Cottage, Levendale. Levendale? Where's that?
Buckinghamshire, about 40 miles from London.
Deliver it today. Deliver it unopened. You're being watched.
Pete.
Make with the pencil, honey. You're being watched, and if you attempt to contact anyone else, there'll be trouble. An old word again. Don't allow yourself to be followed by plainclothesmen. And my angel, our anonymous letter writer, has enclosed 20 crisp little fivers.
They look real, too.
Oh, there's a postscript. No matter what happens, this package must reach Levendale.
Pete, I'm getting that old feeling again.
It looks as though someone's going to try and stop me from getting this package to Mr. Nolan, doesn't it?
Well, let me ring through to Inspector Mellon.
Oh, no. Well, you just put that copy of the letter into an envelope and send it to him express. Addressed to his home at Scotland Yard. Okay?
But it'd be so much easier to phone.
You're a sweet, innocent babe, and I love you like a brother.
I've got a brother.
You know something? I bet our phones are tapped this morning.
Oh, Pete, don't go.
Judy calls. See you.
Oh, men. Peter Troy Investigations.
Miss Summers,
Yes.
I gather Mr. Troy has left.
Who is this?
Never mind. Just don't make any phone calls today, Miss Summers. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll never see your employer again.
What?
And don't answer the phone if it should ring.
But
and don't attempt to leave the office until 5:30 this evening. Stay just where you are.
But I have to go to the post, and I
Don't
certainly...
attempt to leave the office. You are being watched. Leave the post till tomorrow, or you won't live till tomorrow.
But... Hello? Hello?
I couldn't care less who makes the delivery, Miss Valley, just so long as I get the stuff.
Oh, you'll get it, Mr. Nolan. No need to worry about that.
Yes, and what about Webster?
He had an unfortunate accident.
Yes, in other words, he was hijacked and killed. Sounds like Craig's work. Is Craig making the delivery, then?
Oh, no, that wouldn't be very smart, would it? Webster's men know Cragg too well. They'd intercept him before he left London.
Well, then.
The delivery will be made by a rather dashing young Canadian private investigator called Peter Troy.
Private investigator?
Oh, don't worry, Mr. Nolan. He's completely trustworthy. He had to be. He's living very close to a noose at present.
I've heard of Peter Troy. He's tough. He's very tough.
But of course, that's the whole idea. No one's going to hijack that messenger.
And what happens after he's made the delivery?
Now, what will you think?
I see.
Occupational hazard, Mr. Nolan.
Who's going to do it?
You are.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Because if you don't, Peter Troy will get you, Mr. Nolan, one way or another. I doubt very much whether he's in the sweetest temper just at present. As soon as he hands over the package to you, you'll give me the money, and then Mr. Troy dies.
Excuse me, sir. Are these seats taken?
I'll be my guest.
Nice weather for this time of year.
Isn't it, though?
Going far?
Oh, just as far as Levendale. Say, excuse me a minute, will you? I'd just like to get something from the rack above you.
Can I give you a hand?
No, thanks. I can manage. All I really want is this briefcase. Oh, there we are. Just want to get something out of it. My gun, as a matter of fact.
Now, look.
I'm a very nervous sort of guy, so just don't make any sudden moves. Well, now, I guess you're a couple of Caroline Viley's little playmates, huh? Mr. Regan sent you?
Now, Troy.
Oh, you know my name. Well, that's neighborly. Now, just take off your neckties.
Our ties?
All the better to tie you up with.
Troy, we're police officers. I'm Sergeant Benson, and this is...
Don't make me laugh. You characters have been tailing me ever since I left my office this morning. Okay, get those ties off, or I'll have to do it the hard way.
Put the package on the table in front of you.
I have to make a personal delivery, mister.
Put the package on the table.
Look, it's kind of dark in
Get
here.
home.
Okay. Don't even get to see who you are.
You don't need to, Troy. You don't ever need to see anyone again.
I don't like the sound of that.
Don't turn around. Stay exactly as you are.
You know, when people say that to me, mister, I get nervous. I start looking around for something like this table.
All right, Troy. Come on out.
Give me a good reason. Not good enough, Buster.
He's got a gun.
So what? You've got him trapped.
Ah, the Lady Caroline. It figures.
Well, this is your last chance. Throw out that gun, Troy.
You want it? Come and get it.
What the devil?
Something came through the window.
Gas. Tear gas. Troy, this is Mellenby. You all right?
Yeah, but hold everything, Inspector.
Police. I have a cordon of men surrounding the place.
Well, keep him outside. I might be able to reason with this guy now.
Not a chance, Troy. I'll give you 2 minutes, and then we're coming in.
That ought to do it. All right, fella. You got no chance against the police. You may as well call it a day.
Give myself up. Not a chance.
Are you crazy? They've got us cold.
The lady's right, you know.
They'll never take me alive.
Watch it, Melanie. He's making a break for it.
You fool! Come back!
Tear gas. Well, couldn't you find some other way, Inspector? In any case, how come you got to the scene in the nick of?
Well, Troy.
You can thank your lucky stars you've got an efficient secretary.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you delivered a message,
Delivered the message? You don't know the trouble I had doing that little chore. I was being watched. I couldn't leave the office, nor could I use the phone.
Then,
But at 9:30 this morning, I had a visitor. Guess who?
you got me.
Our very irate landlord demanding the back rent. I gave him the letter and told him to take it straight round to Inspector Mellenby.
Okay, so you're a genius.
Troy, did you have any conception of what was in store for you?
Yeah, sort of. But I had to play it out. Otherwise, we're going to lose track of our playmates. It is dope, isn't it?
Heroin. There was enough of the pure stuff in that package to poison a herd of elephants. It was hijacked from the dead man, Webster. He had it smuggled in. Carol and her boyfriend decided to take it from him and make the delivery themselves.
And the difficulty was getting it to Nolan.
Webster's boys knew Carol's boyfriend. The delivery had to be made by a stranger.
And her Troy. Well, I'm glad I was ready for the ambush.
Oh, and in future, Troy, please try to refrain from tying up my police officers in trains. They don't appreciate it.
They really were your men?
They were.
You heard what the man said.
Hmm?
Walk softly, Peter Troy. Walk softly, Peter Troy.
And now, Peter Troy investigates The Repentant RedHead.
This girl Julie you met a moment ago, she's what scriptwriters call my girl Friday. Well, you'll meet her again in a little while, but right now there's another redhead you should meet. Her name is Janine. Ah, Janine. Here's tranquility for you. I think of her and I see a serene picture of complete peace and tranquility.
You beast! You double-crossing, mealy-mouthed, philandering beast!
If you see what I mean.
I hate you.
Now, Janine.
And I never want to see you again.
Now, darling.
And don't darling me, Steve Rennick.
But you don't...
What's her name, this other girl?
There's no one but you, beautiful. And go easy on the glassware, will you?
She was here, and not so long ago. I can still smell her perfume.
Well...
I could kill you.
Oh, my public would hate you for that.
Steve Rennick, the poor man Steinbeck. You're as corny and false as the hero of your own books.
Now, honey, let's have a little respect.
I don't know why I'm so crazy about you.
Then, June.
I could kill you, Steve. Maybe one day I will.
Honey buns and homicide don't mix. Go put some powder on your nose and I'll take you out to dinner.
Steve.
Go on now. I'll phone for a reservation at Oronino's. Pink champagne and your sort of music. Suit?
Uh-huh. He just twists me around his little finger. Steve! Steve, what happened? Steve,
That gun on the floor. Janine, don't touch it.
I'll get a doctor.
Too late. Honey buns and homicide, baby. Honey buns and homicide.
Steve.
Hey, what's going on in there? I have a shot. Mr. Rennick, hey, what happened? What have you done?
Nothing.
Nothing. Mr. Rennick saw an nail like that, and you're holding a gun, and you say you've done nothing?
It was Peter Cheney, was Earl Stanley Garner, and the late unlamented Steve Rennick. They were the aristocracy of the crime writers, I guess. But now Steve Rennick was the central character in a real live murder story. A single mundane bullet had ended his career. And the primary suspect? Oh, she was slick, all right. Janine Lee, a very repentant redhead who urgently needed the services of Peter Troy.
I didn't do it, Mr. Troy. I swear I didn't do it.
When the janitor broke in, you were in the apartment alone with him, and you were holding the gun that killed him, Miss Lee. And you want Mr. Troy to believe you didn't do it?
Now, take it easy, Julie.
Oh, Pete, you can't afford to take this case.
The way things are, I can't afford not to.
I'm offering you a sizable piece of money, Mr. Troy, to find out who really did kill Steve Rennick.
Okay, make with a pencil, Julie. Get all this on paper.
Oh.
Now, Miss Lee, that gun.
It belonged to Steve. He kept it in his bureau drawer.
Uh-huh. How long were you in that other room?
A minute, no more.
And someone could have been hiding in the apartment all the time.
Oh, I suppose so. The closet, kitchen, anywhere.
The neighbors said they heard a bit of a din coming from the place.
Yes, well, Steve and I was having an argument with him.
With milk glass vases?
Well, I got carried away.
What was the argument about?
Women.
So?
Steve was my man.
But he played around.
Yes.
Names?
I don't know.
Now, come on, Miss Lee. You want some help? Okay, cooperate. Don't forget your pride.
Well, I was his... Well, we were sort of engaged, you understand. The others, There was a model, dark, Italian-y sort of woman. Her name was Francesca de Militore. She works for one of the big Italian fashion houses.
Gascony?
Yes. Then there was Paula Stevens.
Oh, a socialite.
Yes.
Keep going.
Oh, I don't know any of the others by name. He only saw them occasionally.
But he saw one of them yesterday.
Yes, I could still smell a perfume in the place. Thick and heavy. And there was a glass with lipstick on it. She must have left just before I got in.
Okay. Oh, anything else?
Just that I didn't kill him.
I'm sorry, Miss Lee. Your time's up.
Oh, please, Inspector Mellenby, I have to talk...
Look, I don't know how you talked me into letting you see Troy in the first place.
Oh, come now, Inspector.
It'll be enough from you, Julie.
Mellenby, give me another 5 minutes, huh?
No. Any more interviews with your client, Troy, will have to be made in the cells, and you'll get written permission from her lawyer. Sergeant, take Miss Lee away, please.
This way, Miss Lee.
Mr. Troy, I didn't kill Steve Rennick.
What?
Julie, my angel, I love you dearly, but there are times
Troy,
when
you don't honestly think she's innocent, do you?
Well, now, I don't know.
Oh, come off it.
Inspector, she is a redhead. Her vital statistics are 36, 23, 36. She has big blue eyes and long, lustrous lashes. All of which means, as far as Peter's concerned, she's innocent.
Have you booked her yet, Inspector?
Of course, it's an open and shut case. Don't you know about Rennick?
Yeah, best-selling crime author, likes the ladies.
And a grade-A heel. According to my information, he was one of the most unpopular men in London.
So?
So he had this coming to him. Seems he's double-crossed just about everyone around the place. He's just violated a contract with his publisher. Crossed up his agent on more than one occasion.
Ah.
Nothing. They weren't at his place when he was killed.
Well, how do you know?
Take a tip, Troy. Keep out of this one. The case is closed.
It's not closed. Not until that girl's tried and a verdict pronounced.
Can I help you?
I'd like to speak to Mr. Troy, please. My name's Melissa Morgan. I'm the director of the Morgan Publishing Company.
Oh.
Well, don't look so startled.
I'm sorry, Miss Morgan. It's just that, well, frankly, I can't visualize you sitting behind a company director's desk.
That's unfortunate. But may I see Mr. Troy? It's about the Rennick case. We were his publishers.
Oh. Yes, of course. Excuse me a moment. Peter, there's a Miss Morgan here to see you, a director of the Morgan Publishing Company.
Oh, that's nice. Send her in.
You may go in now, Miss Morgan.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Troy.
Good morning, Miss Morgan. Well, please sit down.
Thank you.
Now, my secretary said...
I'm here to discuss the Steve Rennick case, Mr. Troy.
Oh?
We published his novels, you know.
Ah.
We're all very sorry to hear of his death, but...
I'll bet you were.
I beg your pardon.
Oh, forgive me, Miss Morgan. I've been a private investigator a long time. It makes you cynical, you know?
I don't understand.
I'm investigating the case on behalf of Miss Janine Lee.
Yes, I know that.
I've been making a lot of inquiries.
And?
I heard that Steve Rennick was about to drop the Morgan Publishing Company.
So?
Which means you'd have lost the residual rights to his novels. That would have meant a loss of about £250,000 to the Morgan Publishing Company over the years.
When my father founded this company, Mr. Troy...
It was nothing. It still is nothing without Steve Rennick's novels. £250,000, Miss Morgan. Makes you think, doesn't it?
Of what?
Of motive for murder.
Janine Lee killed Steve. No, I'm not saying he didn't deserve to die, and I'm not saying she didn't have a motive.
Then what are you saying?
Steve's dead, and she killed him. Let the matter rest there. Don't go digging around for any other motives, Mr. Troy. None exist.
Well, now, I'd like proof of that.
The police are satisfied. You should be, too.
And if I'm not?
Do you take a delight in courting trouble, Mr. Troy?
Oh. Now, that sounds like a veiled threat to me.
Well, I'll unveil it. Forget about Steve Rennick's death, Mr. Troy. Forget your investigations. There's £300 here in my bag for you. If you do just that.
And if I don't?
There's trouble. Now, about that £300.
Lady, please, just one client at a time, huh?
You're going to be sorry. So very sorry. Such a shame. Attractive men like you don't grow on trees.
You say the sweetest things in between threats.
Pete, I can't stand heights, and I'm darn sure this fire escape isn't safe.
Now, just hold tight, Julie. I'll have this window open in a minute.
There's a law against this, you know. It's called breaking and entering.
So there's a law. I have to get inside Rennick's apartment.
Why?
Got it. Come on, honey, run inside.
Oh, they could have warned me about this. I wouldn't have worn a tight skirt.
Well, I like tight skirts.
There is a front door, you know.
Uh-huh. There's also a couple of big gendarmes watching it.
That I find significant.
Torch?
He lived high and wild, didn't he? A real wolf slayer, if I ever saw one.
Somewhere here, there's the answer.
May I remind you that the police think they've already got it?
So impress me.
And they're bound to have searched this place.
Yeah. What would they have been searching for? Just something else to tie Janine Lee in with Rennick's murder. Well, I'm looking at it from another angle. I'm looking for another suspect.
I don't think you'll find one. Oh, what's this? The draft of his next novel, half of it anyway.
Hasn't finished it.
Oh, when you look at the title.
Honey buns and homicide. There's only up to page 148 here.
149's here in the typewriter.
Peter, this manuscript smells of perfume. And it's not Janine's brand either. It's thick and heavy.
That's interesting. It wasn't Melissa's either. Just exactly how many women are there mixed up in this case? Rennick must have collected them like other men collect stamps.
Here, look at this typing.
What's the matter with it?
Look at the line I just typed. And look at the typing on the rest of the page. They're different. The manuscript isn't being typed on this machine at all.
Julie, my girl, you've earned a bonus.
I'll settle for last week's salary.
Visitors. Douse the torch. Someone's at the window coming in from the fire escape. We must have started somehow.
Can you see who it is?
Not a darn thing. Keep down. What the devil?
Wait. There's petrol they're spraying around.
Okay, I think it's time.
They're turning fire.
And they're getting away, too.
Oh, Peter, we're trapped. The flames are all around the window.
The front door, come on. Torch.
Oh, I've dropped it.
Well, this way, the front door's over here. Julie.
The door's locked.
Of course. Police have sealed off the apartment. You can be certain of one thing. This definitely wasn't Be Kind to Peter Troy week. Maybe that intruder knew we were there, maybe he didn't. Either way, it didn't make much difference. Steve Rennick's apartment had to be destroyed. And, brother, a petrol fire is a good way of destroying anything, including yours truly, plus private secretary. In just 2 minutes, that whole place was a raging inferno. The flames cut off our retreat to the window and fire escape. On top of that, Inspector Mellenby's boys had put a police seal on the front door. And life was just a little more than tedious just then. And I was in no mood for any jokes about barbecued private eyes.
I thought you said there were policemen guarding this place.
Well, there were. The idiots must be asleep. Okay, Julie, stand back. They issued me with a permit for this thing, so I guess it's time I used it. Hey, what's going on? Plenty. Or do they always have fires around here? You okay, Julie?
Yes, I think so.
What the devil's going on here? A fire, and I didn't start it. Call the fire brigade, John. Yes, sir. Right away.
I just knew you'd get into some sort of trouble, Mr. Troy.
Knew it or organized it, Miss Morgan?
There was a police seal on that door.
Look, I can explain, but nobody's going to believe me. However, I would like to know how Miss Morgan got into the act. She got onto the scene very quickly, didn't she? Too quickly.
For the time being, we'll all concentrate on trying to put out this fire until the fire brigade arrives. After that, you've got some questions to answer, Troy. You expect me to believe a cock and bull story like that, Troy?
Yes. It happens to be the truth.
This intruder of yours, was it male or female?
I couldn't tell. The room was in darkness.
Anyway, they didn't actually come into the room, Inspector. Just shoved up the window and poured petrol over the carpet.
Well, I don't think there was any intruder. I think this is all a figment of their very fertile imagination.
Now, don't you start. I'd still like to know what you were doing on the scene, Miss Morgan.
She was with me, Troy. She'd requested permission to get Rennick's half-finished manuscript.
Honey Buns and Homicide.
What's that?
Well, that was the title of it.
Just a minute.
Oh, something wrong?
I don't know. Just a minute. Yes, listen to this. This is a copy of Janine Lee's statement after we arrested her. Steve Rennick's last words were, "Too late, honey buns and homicide, baby. Honey buns and homicide."
Well, he must have been some egotist to mention the name of his book and his dying breath. Miss Morgan, what do you intend to do with the manuscript? Half a book isn't much use to anyone, is it?
We'll have one of our staff writers finish it.
Staff writers? Oh, you employ staff writers?
Well, there are a couple of people we can call on.
Either of them worked for Steve Rennick before?
Yes, one of the proofreaders.
A girl?
Troy, I don't
Just a minute, Inspector. There's a reason for this, believe me. One of them's a girl, Miss Morgan?
Yes.
Name?
Well, Miss Morgan?
Helen Fremont. She used to do a lot of secretarial work for Steve, too.
Inspector, I suggest we go talk to the lady.
May I remind you that you're under arrest?
Okay, but I've got a hunch.
I don't give a hoot about your hunches.
Oh, come now, Inspector. You know about Pete and his hunches. There have been a couple of times in the past when they've helped you quite a lot.
That'll be enough from you.
Now, where do we find Helen Fremont, Miss Morgan?
Her brother owns a cellar club in Soho, the Carlisle. She spends a lot of time there.
I'm
I'm sorry, Mr. Troy. We don't open till 6.
I'm not a customer, Mr. Fremont. I just wanted to have a chat with your sister. Helen is here, isn't she?
Who wants to know?
Peter Troy. Just tell her it's about Janine Lee and Steve Rennick. She'll understand.
Now, look.
Tell her.
I'll be watching you, Troy.
You do that.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Troy?
If you're Helen Fremont.
I am.
You know what I like about this case? It's just oozing with pulchritude. You know what pulchritude means? It means feminine glamour. Then, of course, you know what the word means. After all, you're a writer, aren't you?
Hardly.
Oh, but I hear different.
What do you want?
The truth. I found it's an elusive thing. Much more elusive than that perfume you're wearing.
What are you driving at, Mr. Troy?
Didn't anyone ever tell you about that perfume, Helen? It doesn't become you at all. It's too, thick and heavy. And it's like a trademark.
What do you mean?
Rennick's apartment reeked of it the night he was killed. The manuscript of his half-finished novel reeks of it, too.
What are you talking about?
Honey buns and homicide. And I don't mean the title of his book, either.
Hurry?
Trouble?
I think there's going to be.
You'd better tell that fella to keep away from me. I don't like his face. I'm liable to want to change the shape of it. Why, you... If you see what I mean.
You want to get away with it?
No, Harry, we don't want any trouble.
Yeah, but...
What do you want with me, Troy?
Confession. This isn't a joke, Miss Fremont. You killed Steve Rennick.
Did I? Tell me about it.
First, I'll tell you this. Steve Rennick was no writer. In his whole life, he only wrote one book, the first one. It caught the public's eye, and it was a bestseller. But he couldn't maintain the standard. Well, his name was made, but he just didn't have the talent to write another novel.
Then who wrote the others?
You did. You were his ghostwriter. Oh, don't deny it. Melissa Morgan spilled the beans down at Scotland Yard.
All right, so I won't deny it. I wrote all Steve's books after that first one. But that doesn't mean I killed him.
Doesn't it? All right. Let's look at the facts for a minute. Now, it'd have to be someone who knew their way around Steve's apartment. Someone who knew where everything was kept. His gun, for instance. Just before you pulled that stunt with the petrol and matches, I was searching his apartment. Now, he kept his gun in his bureau drawer. And it was locked.
So?
So, apart from Steve, only one other person would have the key to that drawer. The girl who was not only his ghostwriter, but his part-time secretary. You.
That's not evidence.
Now, coming back to that fire. Now, the person who broke in through that window didn't even use a torch, and the room was pitch black. Therefore, the intruder knew her way around, knew where every stick of furniture was. You. You're the one that fits. And then we come to the reason behind the fire.
Oh, yes, the fire. Tell me about that, Mr. Troy.
That manuscript beside Rennick's typewriter was written on another machine. Now, that's logical, isn't it?
Of course. As I wrote the books, it's obvious that the manuscripts would be written on my own machine.
Right. Page 149 was in the roller of his machine.
He always kept the last page in his typewriter so that any visitor would assume he was working on it.
Oh, that's so. But then again, on the sideboard next to the front door, we found the remains of some more of the manuscript. Yes, ma'am. Pages 150 to 163.
So?
You dropped those pages into him the day before yesterday. Just a few seconds before you pulled the trigger and killed him.
You're crazy.
He couldn't do the usual routine of slipping the last page into his machine. Because he was dead.
You can prove all this.
Oh, I don't have to. Now, the police are going to look after that part of it. But I haven't finished yet, either. We still have to find a motive, don't we?
Then can you?
Well, I can try. How does this fit? There was something else in that apartment which had to be destroyed. The original manuscript of Steve Rennick's very first novel. The one he wrote himself. And why did that have to be destroyed? Because he wrote a dedication on the front page, didn't he? It read, "For Helen, my devoted wife." And that's you, isn't it?
No. You're making a mistake.
That's why you tolerated him stealing all your glory. You had to do it. His publishers wanted it that way, didn't they? And they still want it that way.
Because by now, Steve Rennick's name sells his novels just as much as their plot lines. But you'd had enough of them, hadn't you?
You don't know what it was like. No one could know.
Janine Lee?
That was the one he was falling in love with. The others didn't count. They were nothing. But Janine Lee. Yes, I killed Steve, and I'd do it again.
Okay, Troy. So now you've got the story.
I sure have, Buster.
But you're not going to live to repeat any of what you just found out.
Troy, don't be a fool. Put away that
Out of the way, Helen. Steve got everything he deserved. And now this nosy
Drop
private...
that gun, Fremont.
Why, you...
Police, drop that gun.
Oh, I meant to tell you, Helen. The police came in here with me. They had to. You see, I'm still under arrest for unlawful entry.
Oh,
Careful, Troy.
It's okay, Inspector. You only got him in the shoulder. Did you get all that?
Yes, the sergeant got it all down in shorthand. All right, you'll have to come with us, Mrs. Rennick. You too, Fremont.
Mrs. Rennick. No one's called me that in a long time.
Just to tie up the ends for you, Helen was in Steve's apartment all the time. All the time Janine was there anyway. She heard the row, every word of it. And that was the final straw. She had already taken his gun, so the thought of killing him wasn't a new one. As soon as Janine went into the other room to powder her nose, Helen came on out of the closet, shot Rennick, threw the gun on the floor, and lit out, leaving the repentant redhead to take the rap. As for the fire, well, it was the only way she could get rid of that evidence without attracting suspicion to herself. And as for Melissa Morgan, well, she wanted the secret kept. Her company had too much at stake. She wasn't at all keen on having me delving around looking for the truth. I was bound to find out about Helen Rennick being Steve's ghost. Well, what with ghosts and gals and honey buns and homicide, it was quite a case, wasn't it?